Very good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming in. We'll just give a minute for everyone to join in. This is going to be a very, very interesting chat that you've signed into today. Thank you for your time. Yeah, so very, very happy evening to all our dear entrepreneur friends on the eve of World Entrepreneurs Day. I'm Chitra Iyer, the CEO of MSA, and extending a very, very warm welcome to all of you. We hope to make this a real amazing 1 hour session. Let's see how this goes. And I'm really looking forward to listening to our panelists today. I'd like to very quickly tell you about who we are for those who don't know us. We are MSA, founded in 2005 by our founder, Mr. Amar Pandit. We are known as one of the most trustworthy and respected firms in the country today in terms of helping families with taking better decisions in terms of their monies. Our whole philosophy is that if we can help our clients as if we are helping our own family members or our friends, how would we do that? The same way is what we are extending this service to our clients. We are that one person, we are financial coaches who look at a complete 360-degree view of any family's finances for all the family members. Very often we've achieved 3 generations, the grandparents, parents, and the children, carrying forward the philosophy and their thought process in terms of money into the next generation. We also have our own fintech company, Happiness Factory, which helps every single Indian across the world to come forth and do a proper detailed goal-based planning on our portal. We cater predominantly to 4 different professions. The business owners and the entrepreneurs that we have today on our panel. Senior corporate executives. It has been amazing handling so many people over these 15 years that I have been as part of this team. Doctors, amazing set of people. Again, senior most surgeons who we have as our clients, and a couple of celebrities. We have specialized services in terms of practice for families of children with special needs. We have a beautiful process for our retirees who we have plenty of. We typically have a lot of our clientele in the age group of 50 plus, 60s, 70s, 80s. That's how they entrust us with the whole task of not only preserving their wealth, but also growing it. And women who want to be independent. That's when we are capable. So, in terms of today's session, I would like to welcome the panel here, and I want to call Mr. Bharat Junjunwala, Priyanka Agarwal, and Dr. Ashish Joshi. If you 3 can please come on. Yeah. Super. Thanks, Doctor. Perfect timing. Yeah. So I would like to extend a very warm welcome to you and quickly do your professional introductions before we deep dive straight into the topic today. So Priyanka Agarwal is the co-founder and chief strategy officer at Fractal Inc. right? And this is a very young company that she, her hubby, and her friends set up. And so the past 20 years, she has been, wearing various hats as an entrepreneur, a mentor, an evangelist, and a designer being amongst them. She started her career as an architect and completed a master's in graphic design from Middlesex University in London. With a strong motivation to bring about a change in the field of experience design, she returned to India to start up on her own. Today, this startup is named among the largest and the best in the country for experience design. That is Fractal Design Studio Factory. She believes and thrives on the philosophy of be the change you want to see. Welcome, Priyanka.
Thank you, Chitra. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Priyanka. I would like to next call upon Bharat, Mr. Bharat Jhunjhunwala. He's a real estate developer, and his company's name is Riddhi Siddhi Skyline Group. They have been doing, projects all over Thane, Udaipur, and Kolkata. Bharat attended the Cotton School at Rhodes College in Memphis, US, and had a master's in commodity futures from IIM Ahmedabad. He started his career with exports and local trading of raw cotton, but moved on to real estate. He is also an angel investor and a venture capitalist. Uh, he is part of Rotary. In fact, his whole family. His father is Rotarian Niranjan Jhunjhunwala, who is very well known in the Rotary. And Bharat is a third generation Rotarian. The whole family believes in donating and helping for various causes. And I have seen how he has been doing amazing work as part of Rotary for all its causes that he supports. Uh, Bharat says often that fame comes to those who don't go after it. So welcome, Bharat.
Thank you for the kind words, Chitra. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us, Bharat. Thanks a ton for being in our lives.
Absolute pleasure.
And I have a gem here, Dr. Ashish Joshi. He's a director and consultant at Mumbai Oncocare Center. MOC is his brand. And it's a cancer daycare center. He's an oncologist and a hemato-oncologist, having achieved the highest qualifications of MBBM, medical oncology. And also he's an hemato-oncology with the gold medalist. He is known as a fantastic cancer specialist with an experience of more than 12 years now in treating. He was sharing more than 150 patients now, if I'm right, Dr. Ashish, across various centers that you set up right from 2013 till now, 2017 onwards when they started. Today they are at 7 centers all over the western suburbs of Mumbai, plus Nashik, plus Thane. Yes, Dr. Ashish, and
Yes, that's right, Chitra.
and he also heads the Department of Medical Oncology at Nanavati Super Specialty Hospital in Mumbai. Welcome, Dr. Ashish. Thank you for taking out your precious time with us. And as Priyanka said, you're busy saving lives, so we really appreciate you taking out time for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to be diving straight into what we're going to be discussing today. And as all of you know, tomorrow is the World Entrepreneurs Day. Each one of you has been an entrepreneur, and there are these questions that we have, as financial planners, we are plagued with, where we have families saying we invest only in our business. We believe that our business delivers the highest return, and I can take control of all the outcomes in my business. So why on earth should I invest outside of my business? We always counter and talk to all the entrepreneurs, techpreneurs, all the fancy names that we have today, which is actually around the business owner. And we ask them that, we ask them these 3 questions. That how can you guarantee that your business will continue to do the way it has been doing for the next 10 years? Are you aware of the risks that your business faces? And can you guarantee that all the risks that your business faces, like regulatory or compliances, besides others which are unforeseen, will comfortably be managed? Right? These are all rhetoric, but this is exactly what we keep facing. And we thought we should actually have a proper session around this with our existing clients, that is the three of you, because we want everyone to hear from you what you see and how you have tackled all of these things in your life. Because investing outside of the business is more about protecting. We believe it is about protecting what you have and growing that in a meaningful manner. And at the pace at which businesses have been kind of folding up over the years, whether we see Nokia or BlackBerry or Kodak, or even if we see brands like say Vodafone or Cox and Timber, Yes Bank, the kind of stuff that has happened, especially the last 2 years, what each business owner has faced in terms of the impact on business. Everyone knows that whether it's regulatory, whether it's technology, it's a virus, or it's changing consumer preferences, the competition is like crazy also. And whoever knew that we were going to be in some kind of a lockdown like this, that we would be discussing terminologies like supply chain risk and social distancing and flattening the curve instead of flattening our belly. So all of us know that the world has been changing so fast, and it's even more uncertain now. And while we know that our ages, as in our lifespan, from the early 30s, when we were talking about 60s as a lifespan, it's become we'll be living to our 80s and 90s. And there is this line that by 2030, if you're alive by 2030, you will most certain live till 100 plus. Whereas businesses, their average ages from the 1930s, where they used to actually last for 75 years, now they've drastically come down to approx 10 years, a decade, or 15 years. Not many businesses see the light of the day beyond the third, fourth generation. Yeah. So while we come with a whole perspective that you cannot keep on just putting money back in the business, you need to think about protecting the business and protecting yourself. There has to be a line between personal finances and business finances, and it's more about how can you protect your family from all of these risks that the businesses face. And one very, very important one that everybody misses is the liquidity risk. That once the money is in the business, you cannot just pull it out as and when you want. So this is what we keep going back to people and saying that, hey, are you serious that you're going to be able to, pull out money and take care? So the first question coming to all of you, therefore, is what is your take on protecting personal, family finances, and how do you feel about it? Who would like to go first, please? Bharat? Bharat, are you on mute? Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. So definitely there has to be a complete line drawn between personal finances and your company finances. You just cannot mix your personal wealth and your company's wealth. The money that you need for business is one part of it, and your personal wealth is another part of it. As coming from a very conservative Marwadi family, fortunately, we are kind of debt free. We don't have any loans whatsoever. But despite of that, we have a clear-cut line drawn. This is the joint family wealth, which is used for business, for growing business, and our personal wealth is kept separately. Now, when it comes to personal wealth, most of it is in the name of the ladies of the house. So be it my mother, be it my wife, all personal wealth being accumulated in their names. And we are so stringent about it that we don't even involve this money in our own business. So we know we can give them a better rate of interest than what they would earn from probably from the equity markets. As you said, Chitra, you always have that urge ki I should generate the maximum return. But it's a discipline, more of a discipline. Ki this money should go to equity markets or debt markets or whatever our financial advisors advise us. But it should not get mixed with the family business money. And so the money that is there in the which you call the personal wealth is never comes to the business. So that money is kind of ring fenced completely from us, because the greatest mistakes happen when the times are really good. That is the time when you tend to make the biggest mistake of your life, when you're at the helm of affairs. So, but if the discipline is there, when you're not involving your personal finances in your business, you at least have a lifeguard. You have something to fall back upon if things go south. And, the ladies of the house, the rest of the family is safe. So when things go south, the business, of course, takes its toll. But there's also a big mental and emotional turmoil in your mind. But at that time, this money comes hand in hand to at least take care of your basic expenditure, your day-to-day expenditure, your kids' education. Yeah. So, once you're safe from that stress, this ring fence money becomes like a life jacket for you. It just saves you from all that stress, and you can at least start the growth story again. Okay. Because you don't have a kind of a capital which you have saved and kept it aside from your family business. You will end up in a situation, God forbid, wherein you'll be only running around to meet your day-to-day ends. And if you're running after that, you can never think of growth. Where will the growth story come,
Yeah.
So that is one of the key reasons why you should have the wealth separately parked, so that if things go south, may things never go south, but if they go south, you have something to fall back upon.
Perfect. Super. I'm going over to Dr. Ashish now. Yeah, thanks, Bharat. Dr. Ashish, doctors are a fraternity, and I know what the way you have been thinking in terms of not only practice, but how there can be super growth in practice, right? So then how would you talk to the entire doctor community saying, how did you think about this, and what does it mean to you in terms of personal finances being separate?
Yeah. So, at the outset, let us understand that as a doctors, we are horrible in mathematics. We don't understand finance. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't know that we don't understand finance. And that's the problem. Maybe I'm just not talking in general about our fraternity, but that's been the trend, that what we've seen. And typically, doctors are easily associated with a proprietary business. That means you typically start your own clinic or a hospital or so on and so forth. But I think somewhere the trend is changing because the way the healthcare is moving, especially in urban as well as you would say a semi-urban and rural area, is that there is need for a change in the way a doctor look at this as a service. It's not a typical paternalistic view which was there a few decades ago when my father practiced. The way we are doing it is completely different. And hence, I believe that a lot of financial literacy has to be infused into the scheme of things as far as the functioning of a doctor is concerned. Number one, for better services to our patients, because then you're able to create a better infrastructure, able to have all the wherewithals for delivering the ultimate goal of patient care, which many times we are hamstrung because we simply do not have the strategies in place, because we probably do not have the bandwidth or a thinking about it. And hence, organized finance and creating value creation is something which is very, very critical. And that's where, by and large, most of our fraternity miss that boat.
Thank you. Thanks for being so honest and so open about this, Doctor. And I will move on to Priyanka. Priyanka, what would you like to say? Again, on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, I think I resonate with what Dr. Ashish was saying, because doctors, even architects tend to start with a freelance as a opportunity wherein they get projects and they get the money. So there is no involvement of that money into the business. So you're not putting it back into the business. What you're earning is what you're utilizing in that sense. So there's no need of investing into the business at that point. And for me, the journey has been from being a freelancer to a mid-sized company to now a large company in different avatars. But in my experience, and I'm only talking about experience because as Dr. Ashish also said, designers are also pathetic at numbers when it comes to, organizing their money, and they don't really bother about it as well. And I come from a very middle class saving mindset wherein, it was like you read well, study well, take up a job and your life is set. From that background, to come and say that, no, I will do do a freelance business. What happened initially was that when you get freelance, you're doing projects, you're getting money, and we used to splurge, because at that point, that was a very important thing. And that discipline of, no, you need to save, did not happen till we had actually satisfied that need of, splurging a little bit and getting comfortable with the life which we were when we started doing business as such. So I think that was important at that point. But when we realized that it is important to segregate this and be disciplined about how to organize your money, that was till later, when actually the number of zeros increased in the bank and we actually didn't know what to do. The mindset was still, you have extra, you put it in the FDs, and that's how it used to work. FD is the safest investment. And Chitra, when we came to you, that was a typical mindset which we had. Safe money, our money, don't want to invest it in the market, there is risk, kind of a thing. But what came in as a discipline in us was, and you also know this, is that we took minimum in the account to have that discipline, saying this is my money, I can spend it. Rest everything is with MFA and they are investing. That is not my money till now. That is the mindset which we cultivated in ourselves, to have that discipline. Otherwise, we don't really care about that much in terms of this, because the business does not require investment right now. So in that sense, I think for us, discipline was a lot more different in keeping the finances, the business wise and personal wise. We were segregating personal finances versus the extra investment which we need to do. So it was that was a slight difference which we had in terms of.
Beautifully said, Priyanka. Actually, three of you have covered complete, different things. And although, you have already shared a little bit, Priyanka, in your answer about, what I asked. I'm going to ask the second question. Did you make any classic mistakes? A bit of it you said, but then did you make classic mistakes about not keeping your family's finances separate from your business? That's where I'm going. So I'd like to, come back to you, or we can start with Bharat and go on.
So classic mistakes, I actually wouldn't call it mistakes, but if I were to look back and say that would I have done things differently, definitely yes. That whole mindset which we had of getting, if we would have started investing in the right places at the right time, then we would be standing at a different level altogether right now. But for me, what was important at that time was, that the business which is running. I am not, whatever I'm earning out of it, I'm not putting back into the business. So that business needs to earn for the business to run, was the mindset. So agar kharcha ho raha hai, then we will earn more, was the attitude. We will work more, we'll earn more, but yahan ka paisa wahan is not going. It's not happening. So that was the kind of thought process.
Clear demarcation.
Yeah.
Dr. Ashish?
Yeah. So basically, basics of financial hygienes, which you guys helped us to shape. I think that's been most critical. And that's where, a lot of us tend to do small errors, and they could probably then go down the line as a huge errors. So that's the level one, as what you say, it's cleaning up of the previous mess that probably was created, which was happened to me before we reached out to all of you, but beautifully crafted. And then when it so happened that when I reached out to MFA, simultaneously I was just floating a new company with my colleagues, and so naturally it so happened my personal finance and business finance were quite disparate, so much so that it's like a North Pole South Pole situation. And I believe that it should be completely different. So much so that the people who are running those finances also should be very different, because then there is no conflicts. And you obviously know that ship A has to go in this direction and ship B has to go in this direction, and there is no mix up. So I completely concur with Bharat and Priyanka that these have to be two very disparate things, and it automatically happened naturally with me. I didn't have to do any extra efforts, but I again reiterate the fact about the basic hygiene of finance is something which is very critical, and that's where all of us stumble upon. And to navigate through that, we obviously need people like you who are professionals who understand things better than all of us, and that's the way to go.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish. Over to you, Bharat.
I think Ashish has really spelled it out very well. It's thanks to professionals like you. Classic mistakes have been many. I'm still thankful to that he still keeps me in his office despite of all the mistakes. So it's like, mistakes were like, we also have a NSE and a Bombay Stock Exchange card in our office, right? So we had a running terminal in our office.
Wow.
The concept was very clear. Nobody can manage my money better than myself. What will the financial advisors do? No, boss, not required at all. I buy a stock in the morning, I sell it in the evening. I am the czar, I'm the czar.
Looking,
And
yeah.
then came FNO, then FNO was like, oh shit, you just take $10 and you go buy $100 ka stock, make a lakh of rupees in the evening and you come back. Thanks to friends like Mr. Bharat Bagla, one of my childhood friends. Thanks to Amar. These guys were like, boss, what are you doing? Well, dude, what did you don't make in a year, I make in a month. Well, let the market turn. Let the market turn, then you'll come to know. And so it happened. The market turned. I'm calling up Amar. Amar, what is the market? Kal kya lag raha hai yaar? Kal bazaar kya hone wala hai? Well, dude, what is the problem? Well, dude, I've got FNO position. Come on, welcome. Then it was actually thanks to Bharat Bagla, one of my very close friends. He actually made me disconnect my account. He actually got my account shut down. No more FNO for you. So,
Wow.
so from these are classic mistakes, and then I realized, boss, I have to be completely detached from these investments because that is not my forte. I have to hire professionals. I have to let them manage this money for me. This is not my job. My job is brick and mortar. I'm good over there. I'm good at making buildings. I'm good at closing deals. I'm good at buying land and selling land. But no, I'm not the czar. I cannot make a lakh rupees with $100 in my pocket. You have to accept 24% per annum is a good return, and only equities can give you that. If you don't want risk, stick to debt. And debt में कोई magic नहीं होने वाला है, 15% ही मिलने वाला है. So you plan your savings according to what you want to land up having, So thanks to you guys, thanks to all my financial advisors, all the classic mistakes, I got to overcome them. And now today, despite of having access to a lot of information from the market, very happily and very proudly, I refrain from all of it. It just enters from here, one ear and goes out from the other.
Wow.
No action to be taken. Financial discipline, investment discipline. The charter is on my desk. I know this is my time horizon. I've invested so much. End of 10 years, this is where I'm going to be. Period. I don't want to create magic. It is not possible.
Bharat, I have a question.
Sure, Priyanka.
So what you were investing was your personal money or company money?
Personal money. No, company money I don't gamble with. It was. I was thinking it is business, but trust me, it would have been better if I had played poker with that money.
Wow, that was really straight from the heart, Bharat, and extremely honest. I mean, very few people actually say all this, and you said it so beautifully. Thank you for that. But one classic question that Amar always asks is, do you think financial planning is for business owners or not? And because this is exactly the mindset that we've been hearing over a period of time. And somewhere I know that enlightenment, they will say bulb chavakta, and
I think you can learn only by losing money. There is no other way to learn this.
Yeah, that is the hard way, right?
Yeah.
बार एक meeting मिल गया और कोई बता रहा है, today's the platform is about this, that please learn from people who are sharing their personal stories. You can get more honest than this, right? So my next question coming in continuation with financial planning is that goal-based financial planning. This is a concept which people feel, what are you talking about? I have enough money. मुझको ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. When we try to tell boss, even Bill Gates and Warren Buffett के पास goals, they write down goals in terms of goal-based planning. Why are you saying that you don't want to go down this road? I mean, it's proven according to us, but I want to hear it from you. Like, what do you feel about specific goal-based financial plan? Dr. Ashish, you want to go ahead first?
Yeah, sure. I think, especially, as a doctors, we are very insecure people. We don't like to share. That's whereas traditionally in other business, other professions, when you've been taught, a lot of management lessons, storytelling, persuasion, and so on and so forth, but those are not very well entrenched in our curriculum. So that is something which we tend to acquire from outside. So a lot of things, especially in medicine, I'm not talking about patient care, but about the other realms which doctors indulge in, go on perceptions, and we work on very, very superficial perceptions. And that's where a goal-based planning would be important for somebody as indisciplined as doctors, wherein it's this looks good, as Bharat said, oh, let's put money into it, let's make some bug out of it, or also maybe let's buy real estate and then I will get a returns 20 years down the line, so on and so forth. So we really don't know what are the market players, what are the market flows, and that also sort of diverts us from getting into the right goals. So goal-based investment is very, very critical. And we cannot go on perceptions. It has to be hard numbers interpreted with science and interpreted with what you want from life. And that's where it's a beautifully customized work, and it's a super management strategy that I think all of us as professionals need to indulge into.
Beautiful. I don't think anybody could have said that line so in any other way so beautifully. Priyanka, over to you.
I will only talk about from my personal experience what has happened with me from coming from the background which I was in, and and being a designer, we were working with multiple banks where we were designing journeys for them for these goal-based investments and retirement. Yeah. So we knew all the logic behind it, we knew everything, but when it came to personal finances, we were still ki FD mein dal do, as I said earlier. So that was the mindset which we had. Now, when the acquisition happened, like in 2016, our company got acquired by the Denso Aegis Network, which was in India, the biggest design agency acquisition that had happened. And suddenly life had changed, from what was to what it is going to be was quite different. It needed to be taken care of. And that is when the panic set in. Now how do we safeguard it? How do we, protect this which has come in and not rely on ourselves to take care of it? And that is when we met you, Chitra, and the comfort which you gave us was immense in that sense. But even then, the risk averseness which most of the people have, like we were very, very risk averse, that we don't want a lot of, our money to make a lot of money. We want our capital to be protected, was the mindset which we had at that point. And, so there was a very slow progression in the way we approached money, and we were kind of controlling a little bit in the beginning, so to say, with MFA as well, in terms of, don't want too much risk, put it in safe things, put, 99% debt and 1% equity kind of a distribution is what we went with. And slowly and this, I think this is a typical mindset which will happen coming from a service kind of a background versus a business, and Bharat would have a different mindset definitely on in this way. But for me, it was all about safeguarding the capital. And then when we thought that acquisition has happened, now we have a lot of money. So, that's a typical thing, we have a lot of money now. And when Chitra sat down and gave us the goals and we calculated everything, we're like, oh shit, we're still not covered for the retirement. Then it sinks in, and then slowly, and they have been very patient with us, guiding us at the right time, that, it is the right time to go more equity. And slowly 10% equity, then 20%. Right now we are at a 60-40, which is, for us, it is a huge leap. But I think you need that kind of hand holding from the experts. And if you know the financial markets well, then your own self study, whichever way suits you. But for me, goal based planning did help us realize the sincerity with which you need to put in and invest your money, and that's what I think MFA brought in for us.
Super. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for that. Over to you, Bharat. As she said,
So Priyanka, you'd be surprised. In fact,
Yeah.
my mindset was completely like yours. All the investments that I was making were primarily into debt, and it was only about the safety of the money. So this is the surplus money that I have. I wanted to stay in debt. I don't want to invest in equity at all. One of the reasons for that was that I am head to toe in equity. So I do hold a lot of direct equity, my ancestral portfolios and stuff like that. So at that point of time, I'm talking about 2005-06, I was like, whatever surplus money my projects are generating, I wanted to be safe, Again, it was a classic mistake. Being an equity guy, I didn't realize that, boss, there's nothing like safe. Debt, maybe there can be ups and downs. I should have actually gone in for equity. Barring the last 2 years, I would have made a decent return. One of the best examples of goal-based investment was my first investment in life. That was in 2001. So my very close friend, he suggested to me, boss, and that time I was totally anti-mutual funds, I used to do a lot of financial jugglery and stuff like that. So I was not in favor of investing in mutual funds at all. So he made me, I just got married, I just got barely married for 1 month. And this guy comes up and tells me, dude, you have to give me 10,000 bucks. We are going to invest this. And this is going to be your gift to your wife on your 25th anniversary. So 10,000 bucks was pretty doable. It was like, okay, it's just like it's hardly anything. Let's do this. So as a matter of discipline, we have not touched that particular investment till now. And it's 20 years now. And it is, after all the ups and downs in the last 20 years, it is at 6.5 lakh rupees today. So I think goal-based investment can really work very well. But again, coming from a business background, what happens, and more so ever, to be very honest, coming from being born with a golden spoon, we have never really felt the need कि boss ये चीज के लिए save करना है या ये चीज के लिए plan करके invest करना है. We invest only when we have surplus funds. And our idea of investing was कि let's keep the money in liquid funds or in debt funds. Down the line, God knows when there'll be an opportunity, when I'll get a neat and clean land where I need to just take all the funds and pump it over there. So for me, investing primarily was of surplus funds always. Secondly, it was about stashing it away for temporary this thing. Now it so happened that this temporary phase went on for 7-8 years. Fortunately, my business kept generating funds for itself. I never had to really withdraw my investments at all, So today, when I look at it, I think it was one of my greatest mistakes. 8 years, definitely should have gone into equity and not into debt funds. But having said that, this is the way my mind was working, So goal B is I think one of the biggest. We don't know what the goals are. Let's be honest. क्या है? Surplus पैसा है, invest कर दो, let's park it. It's all about that, yeah. That's what I feel.
So, thanks again for being brutally honest, Bharat. I want to take you all to another question that must have flashed across in your mind at some point in time, especially for first-time entrepreneurs or repeat people. That what's my plan B? Should I have a plan B? What if my business tanks? What will happen then? So, how did you three think about this? My perspective is that you obviously were initially also, the day somebody puts in a thought or puts in money, they think about galat kya ho sakta hai. In fact, the whole world is trying to drum around it. Like I remember Amar always shares that when he took the call to come back to India and set up MFA, everybody laughed at him. Like, who the hell is going to give you money? Koi fee-based planning India mein karta nahi hai. And that whole phase of 2005 to 2008, I remember everyone used to laugh at us and saying, what are you talking about goal-based financial planning for? Market to upar ja raha hai, main aapko kyun paisa दूं? to tell me how I should plan my money. And of course, that's a different story that all those people came back to us post, in 2009 and said, you were saying something, please can you tell me that? So for all of the entrepreneurs who are listening, all of the doctors who are listening, where they're trying to set up their own practice, or they're going into the next phase of their business where they're planning to grow exponentially. Somebody's going 1 to 10x, and that way when they're thinking, what do you think? How did you face this in life, Dr. Ashish?
Oh yeah, I think this was a very critical question, and typically one would say that doctor's business is some which will never dwindle, but that's not the case. Typically, if you see a life cycle of any doctor, then there is a peak, and then there is a sudden drop, and then there is a fall. That typically always happens because because of your constraints of age and other factors, you probably are not into the scheme of things. And I think business of medicine has changed dramatically over a period of last couple of decades. It's not what was before. It's looked at more as a service rather than the typical paternalistic good doctor, good patient relationship, and then a lot of factors which then figure in. And hence, that was the reason I plunged into from a proprietary. I was doing a very good practice on my own, but then I had few of my colleagues, which we decided to come together and set up this venture of Mumbai Oncocare Center, wherein initial plunge was like people were laughing out at us as to what are you guys doing? You had such a wonderful practice. You've been doing so well. What is the need for doing all this? But one of the reasons I'd mentioned before that the need for doing this was to deliver a better quality of care to my patients. And I could only do that if I come into the organized sector. Because once you come into the organized sector, suddenly there is a efficacy which is important. Then there is suddenly a feedbacks which are important. Then there is a persuasion which is very important. There is a storytelling which is very important. The dilution effect which is very important. Then you obviously understand various business models, be it a brick and mortar model, shop and shop model, hub and spoke model, and so on and so forth, microcentric models. So that's how you started learning on the way, and then probably we realized the amount of value which you could create for the large audience of our patients is huge. And also various other stakeholders, could be a referring doctors, could be other well-wishers, so on and so forth. We could create our own CSR. We could probably had all the wherewithals to provide the most optimal care into the business of oncology, and that's how probably it all happened. And then obviously the financial planning which you guys did for us has helped me a lot, because it suddenly emancipates my mind space from doing all that, and then I can concentrate on what I'm doing best at, that is treating my cancer patients. So that's how probably it works well. But again, reiterating the fact that business of medicine is very, very different than what it was before, and probably a lot of tech is now getting involved into the game. You got to be on the online platforms, you got to have online presence, you got to have good website, you got to have Google reviews, because people see Google reviews and come to a doctor nowadays.
Yeah.
So all those things are very, very important. So we have a robust marketing team which does that. We have our financial legal advisors which could help us to tackle the compliances and the challenges that even the business of medicine faces. And I think those challenges are not small compared to other businesses as well. So I think you need to tackle all those, but being in an organized sector, the efficacy and the marketing principles, which are very essential to get the best service on board, are infused. And that's where I changed from a proprietary based business to a organized structure. Though my take homes went down dramatically initially, but then I knew that I'm creating value, a legacy, and a standard of care which probably is unmatched.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Ashish. Priyanka, any clear plan Bs through your tenure?
I am just amazed at how at Dr. Ashish's journey actually, and for me, and it might sound a little pompous, but honestly, we didn't have a plan B. Honestly, didn't have a plan B. So for us, both of us, me and my husband, failure was not an option actually, because we had to make it work. Our plan B always has been that we don't question as a business ethos. We say not what is, but what if, and that question has actually make us evolve every time. So even when from London, when we were coming back to India, the reason for coming back to India and not setting the business up in London was that we knew that what the experience which we have gained in London, here we are still ahead of the curve. So when we set up a experience design consulting in 2010 in India, that time the term user experience was not prevalent. And that is what we brought back to India. So always staying ahead of the curve, knowing that, this is what we can establish. Then we said, okay, now user experience is well established. Now we need to move on to the next thing, which is, and tech is moving, our industry specifically is moving very, very fast. Every year things are changing. COVID has completely changed the entire game altogether. All the companies' internal operational efficiencies, things are coming into play. So what is the next thing? AR, VR became very important. Voice experiences became very important. Now, we are now in consulting companies of how they should embark on the transformational journeys. So our growth has been in staying ahead of the curve. Now, there are 10 other companies who are doing experience design, but they're not doing what we are doing because we've already moved ahead of the curve and this is more established. So I think for us, the driving factor has been that, be very, very clear in seeing what the next 5 years is going to be, what is going to come, and acquire that by learning, falling, failing, and then getting that knowledge and showcasing it in terms of getting more business. So getting more business was the key, but yeah, failing was not an option for so we did create a plan B.
Awesome, beautiful, Priyanka. Very, very beautiful, very nice. Thank you. Bharat?
That's really impressive. Yeah, that's Priyanka, hats off. Seriously, that's impressive. So yeah, plan B as per se was kind of there, not there. I started my career with cotton, which was a 5-generation business, So cotton was started by my grandfather's grandfather. And I think along with Kotak family, the owners of Kotak Mahindra. So Uday Bhai's father, Suresh Bhai Kotak, he's also a cotton guy. And we guys were kind of one of the biggest traders in the country, And I studied cotton at Roche. When I came back, I decided it's time to shut down the business. It was a harsh decision. Typically, what had happened was the business was completely, I had to buy with down payment. I had to pay the farmers cash. And when I used to supply the cotton to the spinning mills, these guys used to give me, take credit from me for 90 days. So 90 days was on paper, but it used to be payable when able. And the ability was never used to be there because the intent was not there. So I told Dad, Dad, I can't do this business. We have to shut it down. I would rather do something in which people's money is under me, all the time. I feel very safe and secure doing that because I know I'm very, very committed person. If I commit something, I will deliver it. But I don't trust the other way it will happen, And then our family was into construction since 1947. Baikala station was done by us. But we used to do like one project in 10 years, 15 years, very, very slow. So I told Dad, Dad, this is where I see my calling, and I want to do it big over here. And then, of course, it just happened. And now, with the disruption coming in the construction industry, with RERA coming in, with so many reforms happening, But I think change is inevitable. We have to take it by a stride. And as Priyanka said, we wake up, we rise, we fall, we get up again. We are there to conquer the world, So for me, at this juncture, there is no plan B. I'm sure I'm going to make it. So I'm not very, very ambitious. I don't want to be a Hira Nandani or a Lodha of the construction industry. I'm very happy in the space that I am. And I know there's enough business for me in the next 20, 25 years. I've got my own niche market. I've got my own set of clientele. And I'll be able to manage very well the way I'm moving over here. Yeah, but if things go down haywards, then it's like, kuch na kuch to kar hi lenge yaar. Maybe, I mean, we are born businessmen. We'll find ways and means to do business.
Awesome. That was a beautiful line because that's the whole spirit of entrepreneurship, I guess, Bharat, where when you decide as an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old or even later on in life, we have so many CXOs who, like the way Priyanka was sharing, who would like to give up on their work completely and then go set up their own businesses. Or like Dr. Ashish, you are from day one when you are not in your hospital and you're setting up your own space. You have that. I mean, लोग बोलते हैं कीड़ा है, लेकिन वो सच में you want to prove to the world by creating something. And hats off to you guys for, you know, having put your entire blood and sweat there, and whether plan B or not, the way you guys shared it, it was absolutely beautiful that, you know, go about being very clear and just going after it. So, as I mentioned here, we are streaming live on Ortho TV, and requesting all the doctors on Ortho TV also that there is a link where you can click if you would like to ask for a meeting to, you know, get to know how to go about doing all of this that we're talking about today. I want to quickly just share basis, you know, what you guys just said till now. There is one thing where I want to just kind of summarize that. Yeah, if you want to, you know, thinking that you can go completely blind and you feel that I know everything, and then I want to just keep on investing in what I know. That's where, you know, the, like Bharat said, it completely kicks in that you don't know, something will come and kick you behind that, you know, what you don't know. You need help in terms of figuring what to do. Personal exposure to business risk, you know, how to have these protective barriers. Three of you have been so vocal and so clear that no, there has to be a clear line. And you know, we have come across a lot of stories, obviously, while we publish their, you know, people actually dip into their retirement funds, or they get into घर गिरवी रख देंगे business के लिए डालने के लिए. So, you know, classic no-nos that one should never do, or investing in dubious ventures. So these are things that, you know, it's like it keeps drawing on you where the gambler instinct might come, but then how to refrain and, you know, how to be very careful of this is what each one of you shared very beautifully. I'm going to the next one where, you know, there I'd like to show you an image that, you know, we have a lot of people who have this whole thing in their mind that when we talk about a financial coach, you know, when people are doing, for us it is visible, kya kar raha hai? So ad hoc hai. So then the person is saying me, you know, I have my CA is doing my financial planning. मेरे दोस्त हैं means हद है. I mean, I have people telling my friend is the CIO of a mutual fund, or my friend is the head, he sits on the board of a particular bank. Okay, तो मेरा दोस्त है, वो मुझे बताता है क्या करना चाहिए. Or, you know, there are agents always around you, or there are brokers. ये होते रहता है. So the results is that we see that people completely get flooded with a lot of ad hoc stuff, and very often, you know, they fail to consult with any financial professional. So coming very clearly to you is, you know, there might have been something that triggered the need of a financial coach, or the way I would like to ask is, why did you feel the need at all? I mean, were there any things that came into your mind when you thought, I need a professional in my life? First, please. Dr.
Can I take that?
Yeah, Bharat, please.
So honestly, for me, it was all about friendship. My first financial advisors was again, first it was Bharat Bagla, and then it was Amar Pandit. Both were very close friends. And honestly, those days I didn't believe in financial coaches. I just went ahead because of friendship. It was purely that that thing that, you know, because they are friends, I have to listen to friends. I don't have a choice, you know. It was only about that. But yes, now I really appreciate their advice. I deeply acknowledge that they got me on the right path. Otherwise, probably, you know, I would have been in doldrums by now. But I really thank them, both of them, from the bottom of my heart for getting me on the right path, for having faith that I will come on the right path, despite I was completely anti-financial coaches.
Yeah, but
I told you, I used to believe that nobody can manage my money better than myself. Yeah. So I really thank Amar and Bharat Bagla, both of them.
Thank you so much for saying that, Bharat, because we still face this, you know, where people say they don't open up fully. They keep a portion of their money such and say, तुम ना ये कर लो, मैं बाकी सब मैं देख लूँगा. And we're trying to say, but sir, ऐसा नहीं होता है. You know, please be. What do you do that to a dog, that you hide a part of your body and say, okay, this organ, I think something is wrong? ऐसा नहीं होता है. Over to you, Dr.
Yeah, I know. I think we were, me and my wife both were looking for someone, to help us out and guide this ship. And it just happened so that through one of my friend, whom I play tennis with, and he introduced me to Meena, and then subsequently the whole story started. Now, basically, what I liked about the whole scheme is the 360-degree approach that you guys have. That is something which is very critical. Which is, see, there are a lot of this fin, even in doctors community, a lot of financial advisors and so on and so forth. But the kind of comprehensive, goal directed, taking into the emotional context of an individual. See, we are a very high context culture. We lot of things work on what is not said than what is said, as against the typical American culture. So that is something which you have caught well, and that has possibly helped us to customize and shape our finances better. And that's what I liked it. And it just came on the way, and we were looking at that point of time that somebody would sort of the way we are organizing our professional practice, we would want somebody to organize our personal finance as well, because it was all ragtag by the time we joined you all. It was just here and there, and as what Bharat and Priyanka very rightly mentioned, that it was all over everywhere, and we just simply didn't know. It was just buying a couple of blue chip shares, and maybe this is a good script, this is a tip which I received from one of my friend who is probably a trader, and so on and so forth. That's how we were looking at. There was guys who were telling me to go into the endowment plan, and insurance being looked as an investment rather than as a risk reduction. So again, basics of financial hygienes, which probably we were looking at, and fortunately Meena came into picture, and that's how it all changed. But again, comprehensiveness, 360 degrees is something which I like, something which you're looking, uh, taking care of the property, taking care of the will, taking care of all the emotional requirement for a couple or for a family, and that's something which is very appealing.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ashish. Over to you, Priyanka.
So for me, to be very honest, Chitra, it was out of fear. So, to be we did not have the requirement of a financial planner till the day we had one. So, and for us, we absolutely, both me and my husband, do not understand money, do not understand the concept of invest. Did not, I would say. Right now there is a little bit of understanding, but we did not understand it. We were designers, and we were just passionate, and money happened by the way. And when it happens by the way, you do not know what to do with it. And that is when you were introduced with one of the partners is a classmate of Chitra's, and that is how we met her first. And it was, I would, for the lack of better words, love at first sight kind of a thing, wherein we actually felt very comforted in the way she explained things, and she did not oversell or did not say that you need to do this, otherwise this will not happen. She went with the comfort which we had with our mindset, and I think that is what really appealed to us, that it will be safe, it's going in the right hands, and there is a immediate trust that happened with Chitra at that point, and it still continues. And she has been very patient in guiding us through the entire journey. But honestly, the trigger was out of fear. Ki ab iska kya kare? Matlab, how do we manage all of this? And that is how it happened for us.
Thanks, Priyanka. That's also very, very important emotion that comes where people do get stuck, and right from things like Bharat said that I know everything to I know nothing. There are so many things that come into people's minds, and they're not able to say it out, like Dr. Ashish said. But I nahi pa rahe. If you're not able to be open and say what's happening, and I need help, you don't come till the brink of it. Then it is a tough call for anyone.
And I also want to add that we have a lot of randomness in our thoughts as well. Me and my husband are very random people, and very, very impulsive in nature. Today we want to do one startup, tomorrow we have some other idea and we want to do that. And we immediately call up Chitra and say that, this is what the new idea which we have now, what do we do? We will need investment for that. Can you plan for it? So she's been patient with all of that as well, in terms of our, the lifestyle and the unpredictability which we come with. And I'm sure that going ahead, we will have multiple ventures which we will do, and we have a lot of things in mind. And I think that is where the comfort also is, that you're not restricting yourself because of investment by anything. It is only facilitating you in terms of enabling those dreams which you have. So yeah, at one point we did think that, पहले लगता था कि ज्यादा पैसा है, अभी लगता ही नहीं है कि पैसा है, because we're always telling चित्रा कि चित्रा release some money for us because we don't have बच्चे के स्कूल की फीस भरनी है type of a thing. But that's the discipline. But at the same time, we've never felt that any major dream which we have, whether it is sending the child to study abroad or whether it is starting a new venture which we are planning to, we've never felt that it is not doable in the kind of money which we have. So I think that works beautifully for us. The random.
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for answering all three of you, because sometimes it feels like we are only tom-tomming that you need us. It's not that. We have to be in front of a person who says, okay, I need you. If I need you, then only it works, right? So it has to be that we can say हम ये करेंगे, लेकिन आपको हमारी जरूरत है ना? अगर है तो ही we have to be in your life, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So often this does happen that we're meeting so many people and they just don't get it, and then we have to say, okay, fine, I'm not there, I'm not the right person for you. But if I'm there for you, then I'm going to be that one person who's going to handhold you, and I'm going to be there for the rest of your life. That's what we're looking for, doing as a service. If we will be your financial coach for life, there'll be hundreds of things that come in life. There are so many things. There's an actual study which says there are 72 financial decisions that happens in a person's life, right from divorce to inheritance to so many things. And you need that one person, like Priyanka shared, discussing with you that मैं क्या करूं, मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ, ये सही है गलत है. So you may know this much, but what about the rest of it, right? I'm coming to the last question. I know you guys also have to go. Is that how important do you think is it for partners, to be involved with the financial decisions, in all of these financial planning? There's a big, need that comes in from the men who say that my woman doesn't listen to this because she thinks that I am taking care of everything. तो हाँ, तो वो तो आप तो सब कर रहे हो, तो मुझे क्यों जानने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. These are all not that the women don't understand; they understand money very well. Similarly, we have a lot of women like Priyanka who take the lead, and they are the ones who are managing the money, and they know exactly where what is. So your take on this, please.
Can I go first on this one, because So my husband is an artist by the way as well, and the only thing he needs to know is that we have enough money. That is the only criteria which we have. If it is depleting, he gets panicked. So the thing about partners being involved, I think, depends on the partner. If the partner is receptive and contributing and not panicking, then it is a decision together. But otherwise, it is completely okay for one person to take the lead and do the right thing for everyone. And eventually, if divorce happens, you have everything as well.
Over to you, Dr. Ashish.
Yeah, I think. See, this is my favorite question. So I'll like to take on that. I don't know my account number. I don't know where my bank is, and I do not do finance. My personal finance is entirely looked after my better half. She's a psychologist. I believe that she has far more stable mind and all the realms that a person would require to handle finance. So in my case, all personal finance is entirely handled by my wife. I don't do anything. I just make sure that tomorrow morning I have a scotch which I can drink. That's it.
Sure.
Yes.
Forget alimony. You're not getting a divorce also, boss.
Yes. Of course. I mean, and that's the problem.
My God, Ashish.
So I think I will take it up from here.
Yeah.
My case, it's completely different, So coming from a Marwadi family, a joint family business organization, the women in a house honestly wouldn't even know what kind of wealth we have. So it's a completely different story. The only time they come to know what wealth we have is when we die, and when they see the will. And before that, they are clueless. They are absolutely clueless what kind of wealth we have. What would, of course, we do provide for them. As I told you, in my case, in my family case, particularly my family, we have structured it this way that all the wealth is in the name of the woman. So, if God forbid anything happens to any individual, the women are sufficiently taken care of. But if you talk about participation, there is zero participation. They wouldn't even know what kind of wealth we are holding on to. what is my annual income, or whatever is happening. They would have no clue. I mean, it's very different in today's world, but that's how it has always been.
And it doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, of course.
okay for one person to know everything, but at the same time, I think that knowledge of where everything is important, right?
It's more
Like,
important.
yeah, but because one day when I was very ill, the first thought that came to my mind was कि यार एक Excel sheet में बनाया तो account कौन सा है, password कौन सा है, कहाँ पे क्या है, so that people know what is happening. I think that is the biggest fear which happens when only one person knows things and is in control of everything. So that knowledge being transferred and being transparent with the entire family, I think for me it is we are in a time and age where we should everyone in the family should know, unless you suspect that there will be fights and there will be eventual.
So it's not about that, Priyanka. So I've tried ample of times to involve my wife and try to tell her, why don't you start taking care of the investments and the portfolios, so that would give me some more free time, But she's like, it's not required. Why should I do it? It's your job. That's your job. You do it. Eh?
True that. Actually,
Yeah.
that also is true.
Yeah.
One should have a liking for that. Otherwise, you probably will mess it up.
Yeah, you can't force people.
Right,
We tried everything under the sun.
So
We had
had
it
she
done.
been wanting to participate and
Yeah.
coming from a conservative background, I wouldn't allow her. That would be a different story altogether.
Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you know,
None of the men are like this.
Yeah.
All the men
No inclination.
are like very, very beautiful, Bharat.
Yeah, I think
there are
it's interest as well.
Right.
there are families where all the investments is only in the woman's name.
Right.
That's very beautiful. What a thought, right? That you're automatically protecting them. That मुझे कल कुछ हो गया तो this she doesn't need to go anywhere. Anywhere is going to go to her only.
No, she wouldn't need a signature also from anyone. She doesn't need to go for a probate. She doesn't need to go to anyone and knock the door. Ki boss, I need my husband's wealth. All
Yeah.
the way to your name, chill.
And I can completely relate because I am a Banya myself. I mean, being an Agarwal, and I know that the kind of I understand where you're coming from, because at some point I've seen that in in my family, this thing as well. And for you to have everything in the women's name is not heard of. To be honest with you, it's everything invested in this thing in the men's name, and they are taking care of everything. And then eventually the knowledge is passed on in one briefcase set, kind of thing. But yeah, honestly,
ये है तुम्हारी जायदाद type.
ये है तुम्हारी जायदाद.
Oh God. So yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. I want to do a quick wrap before we close, but before that I have to run a poll. Sorry. So I'll just take a couple more minutes of your time, and I think you guys were absolutely awesome. While we, to all the attendees, I've just launched a poll requesting you all to please give us your feedback. It's very, very important in terms of knowing that you really liked what was shared here, and what is it that you all three of them shared. If it makes any sense to you, it would be great if you can reach out to all. Also, there are a couple of things that we want to reach out to people to say that everybody comes with a different kind of thought process first towards money. That the behavior to money for all of us is very ingrained in terms of how our upbringing has been, and then you move on to becoming an entrepreneur. There. It's not taught. None of us is taught in school that how do you manage your personal money, nor is it taught that how do you set up a business. So either you get into a crash course, or like Bharat said, you make mistakes and then you learn. That's the best way to learn. So hopefully you're not making very large mistakes. But apart from that, in terms of setting up of the business itself, it's so huge. राइट कि किसको समझ में आएगा कि मैं बिजनेस के बारे में तो फिर मैं आज लोन लूं, मैं खुद का पैसा लूं, मैं एंजल इन्वेस्टर के पास जाऊं, क्या करूं. टुडे इट्स गेटिंग इवन मोर एंड मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स, राइट, वेयर वी डोंट हैव everything under one roof, where for a business owner they know what to do and how to go about it. But at least personal finance is something that you have people to go through, and you have people who can learn from. You can learn from people like three of you when you're sharing very clearly in the varied professions. This is the way to go about it. This is the way to keep it very clearly distinct and beautifully separate, and that's where it really makes sense. So I wanted to just quickly say that Bharat, what you shared about right from the business going south, or the terminal in your room, or participating in FNOs, all of that. In spite of all of that noise, you ignored everything and you moved on to getting this financial planning properly engaged with people professionally in your life. It must have been so tough because something that you came from, a background that you came from, it was not easy at all. Changing an entire business, talking to your dad must have been really huge, and you brought that out so beautifully that change is inevitable. And thank you so much for sharing all of this, Bharat. Priyanka, when you spoke about splurging, about setting aside money initially as you earned, and then maybe thinking back, saying that you would have liked to do things differently, but you also saw to it that you were at the right place at the right time. You moved on with the clear direction about not what is but what is. That was really beautifully said by you. Thank you so much. And you have been as a company, you guys being completely ahead of the curve. I know what you mean by that. You have been leading the way in your space, so many people have been learning from you, and you have been instrumental in say taking that lead for your personal finances as well as in the business space. Getting more and more business is what you have clearly set your eyes on. That was brilliant. And Dr. Ashish, every time I listen to you, the way you use your words and the way you put forth your thoughts is beautiful. So again, it was really a pleasure listening to you about how beautifully you said that doctors actually don't understand money, and you went with the pure, clear thing about financial, basic financial hygiene, how it is so important, and people who are you spoke about running two entities and how there should be complete different set of people, especially taking care of the finance bit. That was really very, very well shared. And another very important thing about doctors perhaps don't share enough, because you mentioned this thing about not part of the curriculum. That was amazing. Yeah, and yes, the life stages of doctors is very clear, and you taking that whole jump onto from your proprietorship to business was super. I think you will inspire many, many in your field. So hats off to the three of you, and wishing three of you very, very happy World Entrepreneurs Day in advance. And to all of those who are attending, I hope this was really interesting. I don't know if there are any questions, so I'll just quickly check that. Yeah, there have been a lot of thank yous coming in for you. Yeah, so I think we're done. Thank you so much. Thanks a ton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye-bye. Bye. Have a lovely evening.